On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk about what not to automate. Crestron joins the HTSA, and CEDIA announces a UK 2018 Tech Forum tour. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek episode 110, Smokescreen.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Access Networks and by Daylight, the leading producer of high-quality projection screens worldwide.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by my good buddy, Stephen Bronner. He is the president of Pro Audio Georgia. How you doing, bud?
Man, I am outstanding down here in the beautiful state of Florida, working on a wonderful project, just living the life, my friend.
Very good. And someone nowhere near Florida at all is our good friend, Taff Strickland. He is the dude at Just Add Power. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest and spent the weekend tootling around wine country.
Ooh.
And it was just like in the brochure. It was not raining. Don't tell anybody. Blue skies, 68 degrees, and wine country. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it was not 68 degrees here this week.
That sounds like a Fergosa introduction.
Pretty much, yeah. Every time he's like, it's 72 and sunny. I'm like, it was snowing this morning. Shut up. No one cares about 72. All right, gentlemen, let's stop talking about the weather and start talking about what not to automate in a smart home. This comes to us from CE Pro and Jay Basin. I think I said that right. His first rule of the smart home is to do no harm and to think hard before using smart home automation as your security system and automating things like fireplaces and windows. Now, read through this article. He covers a lot of really good things, specifically that home automation should not be your security system and you should not sell it as such. But he also gets into a couple interesting things as far as what not to automate, specifically things like fireplace control and garage overhead door control and motorized windows and things such as that, and raises the interesting point that inspectors and potentially insurance companies could ding your house or a potential future house if it has unsafe automation. So, Stephen, I want to jump into this with you real quickly. Jay covers a lot of things, none of which I necessarily have a problem with per se, but as another integrator, the basis of his article is obviously not to do any harm, but who decides what harm is when it comes to automating different things?
Yeah, this dude needs to quit. So here's the thing. We've got our clients, when we come in to do automation, they don't want, I mean, seriously, I understand this guy may be the world's greatest integrator, but let me ask you a question. You own a $6 million house. Do you want an alarm keypad next to your touch panel, next to your lighting control keypad at every door? No, you don't. So we put in the control panels now. He is right about one point, and that is that you should not use an automation system as a security system. However, correct, you should control your security system with your automation system, elk. So if you do that, then you can give your client a streamlined approach. Our clients don't pay us to clutter their walls. Hell, that's silly. They pay us to clean the walls up. They pay us to put in a really good product that works all the time and to know that product. You're not doing any harm. I don't know a single house that I do where the garage doors aren't automated. I mean, so you have your garage doors automated. They still have their override sensors, the lasers that stop it from coming down on top of something that's blocking the laser, things like that. But to say that you should not include garage doors now, fireplace control, I won't touch it. Will not touch it, period, because that'll burn a place down, and I'm not interested in that insurance claim. However, other than fireplace control, almost everything else, fireplace control and the fact that he said use a UL-listed security system, I just don't agree. I think that is a pipe dream it's not based in reality of what we deal with on a daily basis. On a daily basis, our clients come to us and they say, I don't want all this stuff on my walls. I want one panel that controls everything. And you think it's bad. Wait till you tell a customer that, well, you know, I want you to have an extra keypad on the wall for your security system. I want you to have extra stuff on your wall to control the garage doors. They don't pay us to say no. They pay us to say yes. So it's our job to make it happen and to make it happen efficiently and safely, not avoid it like it's some kind of plague. And I feel like the article had well intentions, but it doesn't base itself in reality of high-end installation. Now, this DIY stuff you buy at Home Depot, man, I wouldn't trust my life to that for anything. It's like these people that want to automate their house with Comcast. When was the last time you looked at Comcast and said, I want you in charge of my safety? I don't understand it. So that's my stance on the article.
Very good. Taft, when we look at articles like this, and, you know, Stephen kind of brought up a good point about overhead doors, because that was the one thing that triggered for me. We do this all the time with our Lutron systems and everything else. But we're not, like, we're literally replacing the little button on the wall that you hit to close the door. We're not overriding sensors and all the other built-in things that come with this. When you read an article like this, is that what triggers in your mind that some of these things we are just adding additional control to, opposed to trying to replace the existing control that's there?
Well, it's interesting to me because you look at this and go, okay, are we replacing everything, or are we controlling something that is an existing known product? And I think what Stephen was saying is he's taking all of his years of experience and expertise, and he is controlling known products. He's controlling things that he'll put his name on, that he trusts, right? And in the process, that reduces wall clutter by controlling it with a control system he's familiar with and that he trusts. So, you know, we talk about wall clutter. I have 3 doors in my garage. And my house is at that age where one of the garage door openers broke. And then when the guy got there, then the other opener broke, like when he was driving there. So I put in 2 new openers, didn't put in the third. Then about a month and a half ago, I go to leave one morning, and the spring on my garage door is broken and the opener is broken. And I still have those really cool 1979 garage door buttons in my garage. But I got 2 new openers. The third new opener had a battery backup in it. It had Wi-Fi built into it, and it'll talk to the other 2 openers. And I now have this LiftMaster app, which is more of a DIY thing. But this is kind of life-changing for me to set it and tell it that if I leave a door open at 11 o'clock at night, to close it. On my phone, I just am using their standard app. I still have stupid buttons in the garage. It's not the only way to control it. I look at it as a secondary type of thing. And then I can automate that with the control system in my house as well. So I think kind of different from I'm going to put in a lighting control system. And that's the only way, you know, to use this lighting system, as versus putting in a lighting system that you're familiar with and then having it be controlled with a control system that you're familiar with. I get the idea of the garage doors. You know, I wouldn't want to control a garage door opener unless it did what mine do. When I go to close it from the app, it beeps, the lights flash. If there's any activity at all, it doesn't close, you know, bottom line. And the new doors, I can walk over and stick my hand out underneath the door, and as the door comes down, just give it a little bit of pressure and it pops right back up. So I think that these things have been built. You know, if you've got an old guillotine door that, you know, is wood and weighs 600 pounds and can crush you, I think the last thing you want to do is buy a $40 contact closure system and tie it into your, doodad automation, and you have no idea what it's doing other than opening and closing a contact. That being said, it's really about having things that you trust and know be controlled by things and you trust and you know. By the way, me having automated garage doors has been life-changing because I have cameras in my garage because we leave the doors open. My wife comes home, she's tired, she presses the wrong frickin' button. She opens the door where the convertible is versus closing the door where her car is. And then I wake up the next morning and both my doors are open. And living in the Pacific Northwest, there are animals here. And I would like for them to stay out of my garage.
That's so picky. Keep out of the garage. All right, gentlemen, let's move to our next story. This comes to us from Residential Systems. Crestron is joining the HTSA buying group. Both these organizations focus on high performance and luxury residential technology. And through this new partnership, Crestron is going to be expanding their set of options for system design and installation for all of those HTSA members. Taft, I want to get into this, starting with you on this one. What does it mean when Crestron, who normally has not really been big into that buying group industry, that side of things, what does it mean when we see a big player like Crestron jump into a buying group?
I think that they're in a competition of people on their heels. If somebody told you 8-10 years ago that a group of dudes out of Salt Lake City, Utah, were going to launch a control system and it was going to be super popular, I would have said no. If you were to bet on a betting horse, I don't know that I would have bet on that. We've seen so many players come into the market, full force. They come and then they go, and then they come and then they go. And I think that with the fact that 10 years ago that there were control systems, there were Crestron, there were AMX, and there were some companies that had a remote control. Now there's a whole bunch of people in the automation business. And I think this is smart for HTSA to align themselves with an upper end control system that has some exclusivity that's not available to anybody and everybody. I think it's a good move on HTSA's part. That buying group is one of the oldest and it's one of the most mature, or probably is the oldest and the most mature. And I think their members are all pretty darn smart because, they've all been around long enough. They've made it through the ups and the downs and the good and the bad. So
very good. Stephen. Yeah, I agree. Stephen, the one thing in this article that kind of caught my eye, and we've talked about this in the past, and you and I have talked about this in the past. There's a quote from John Clancy, who's Crestron's VP of Residential, that over the last 18 months or so, Crestron is deeply committed to further advancing its residential division. Now, to put that into perspective, that don't start laughing yet. Don't beat me to the joke. Some of that, when you go back and you look at the last little bit, they cut their residential dealers by over 20%. Now they're joining a buying group.
Way over 20%.
Well, I'm trying to be nice here. The official number was 20%. But now they're joining a buying group. And the iteration is that if you are now an HTSA member, you'll have access to Crestron and you'll be in some way, shape, or form a Crestron partner. What does this change the go-to-market strategy a little bit for Crestron? Because they've always, minus what looks like a 3.5 month stint with A-Zone, they've avoided this side of it. It's always been dealer direct partnerships, not necessarily partnered with buying groups. What does this shift mean?
Smoke screen, man. It doesn't mean anything to me. Most of these guys that are in HTSA are already selling Crestron. So basically what this is Crestron's way of trying to hold on and not let those guys from Salt Lake City steal any more of their dealers is what's going on. So now they're opening up to more guys in that. And they are bleeding residential business. It just bleeding it. And I know that the industry, the people that sell it don't want to hear that. It's the greatest thing, the blue Kool-Aid. But the truth is that they're bleeding residential dealers. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that out of one side of their mouth, they're talking about growing their residential business. But out of the other side, I always put it with words versus actions. Words mean very little to me. I don't do sales pitches. I don't do marketing schemes. Show me the money. Show me what's going on. So all the words that Crestron are using sounds great, but the actions that they're doing, all they're doing is they're cutting dealers. They pulled out of CEDIA because they can do their own road shows and their own exclusive things. Yeah, I got you. And all they're doing is cutting their residential business. They're a good company. I give Crestron guys a hard time just because it's a cult, and it's always funny to pick on people in a cult. It just is. So I like to give Crestron guys a hard time, but the truth is I have a lot of respect for Crestron. They were doing it and doing it well before anybody else was doing it well. Now they're just doing it. You know what I mean? They're still doing it well, but there are a lot of companies, because of the advancements in technology, there's a lot of companies doing it well. So I will say that once again, Crestron has all the right words, but if you look past the words and you look at who's in the HTSA, who are they dealing with? They're already their dealers. So basically all they're doing is they're saying, hey, you guys that are looking to jump ship and go to the other company that Taft brought up, that you guys that are looking to jump ship, don't do that. We're going to give you deeper discounts. We're going to give you more design. We're going to give you more things to stick with us so that we can keep telling people that we care about residential. Crestron cares about residential in the same way ADT cares about residential. ADT only cares about residential whenever it's a CEO or a high-end clientele that owns a commercial business. Crestron only cares about residential as long as they can keep their name in front of the CEOs and the people in the business. They're not interested in the installs that they were interested in 5-10 years ago. They're no longer they're in the commercial side, and they're making a killing in the commercial side. I just don't like the double talk. I don't like the fact that the actions don't match the words. If they would come out and say, you know what, we're going to support our residential guys, but we're pretty much a commercial control company now, I would be like, hell yeah, go for it, man. Knock it out of the park. But I don't like this on and on about, oh, we're this and we're that, and then they do these crazy things, and it doesn't make any sense. I know a guy that was doing plenty of money with Crestron, and his integrator his rep called him and told him, he said, we need you to do more money. And he's like, more money? I did more the last 2 years in a row. I increased my sales. And he was like, well, we need you to do this much. And it was basically double what he was doing. He's already at almost 100,000. And the guy was like, I can't do that. And they said, okay, well, we're cutting Crestron from you. There was no reason. Like, it literally was no reason for that. They just chose to do it. So these are the stories that you hear over and over again from a company that says they're trying to build their residential business still. It's foolishness. It's nonsense. Just be who you are.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, let's go to our most likely last story of the day. This comes to us from Hidden Wires. CEDIA is announcing details for their 2018 Tech Forum Tour. This is going to be 5 Tech Forum events that are going to happen essentially all across Europe, with dates in London, Bristol, Edinburgh, London, and Leeds. This is going to be, one of their kind of new little education, product display, and networking events across the board. Stephen, going to come back to you on this one. Because, obviously CEDIA has the CEDIA Expo in North America. They have ISE in Amsterdam. We're seeing more and more of this, and you referenced it in the Crestron article. We're seeing more and more of these smaller, one-day events with somebody like CEDIA who is, continuing to push forward education and things such as that. What do these smaller, one-day, half-day events mean for CEDIA members, CEDIA dealers, and people like that?
I think it's good to get the word out. CEDIA is, for lack of a better way to put it, I think they're kind of finding their way right now. And I say that one of my favorite people in the world is Matt Scott, and I know he's on the board, and he and I have talked about it. I feel like they're trying to find their way. I feel like these new 1 day, maybe 2 day events are great. I feel like that it gets the word out. It lets people know who CEDIA is. I got a phone call earlier from an ADI representative that runs their enterprise AV or whatever their their AV dealer part of their ADI. And he said, hey, I got your name off of the CEDIA Finder. And I want to know if we can do more business with you at ADI. And I said, well, y'all are my security company, not my AV company. And we had that whole conversation. But, it's one of those things where I think that CEDIA, it's good for them to get the word out. It's good for them to do this. I'm going to throw a little bitterness in there and go, it's amazing that they did a whole North American tour and managed to skip the entire Southeast. By the way, Florida is not in the Southeast. Florida is the southern north. So, but that being said, I think that it's good that CEDIA is going out, spreading the word. There's no way for people to find out who CEDIA is without them doing this stuff. I mean, they've got to put their name out there, and I think it's great. If I knew somebody that had something to do with CEDIA, I would say, hey, Atlanta, maybe. World's busiest airport, everybody's based here, maybe. But, we'll leave that at that. I think it's a good thing overall.
If only you knew someone at CEDIA.
Oh,
Taft, I'm going to wrap up the show with you. As a manufacturer, when you see these kind of events, and you guys have been involved in events like this with Just Add Power, what do the one-day events that are more regional, localized, how do they differ for you guys from an approach versus obviously like a national event like CEDIA or Infocom?
Well, you have regional shows that fall into two categories. One category is they're awesome, and then the other is the word that I'll use that Steven used earlier, which is better with a Southern accent, which is suck. It's kind of a crapshoot. And as we go through our annual budget every year, we're going, okay, this show is a little regional, one-day show. And not to kind of divert attention from it, but, Mark Chukowski does the tech summits across the nation. Mm-hmm. And those are tied in. There's a CD education element to it and everything else. That guy's been doing it for 10 years. He knows what he's doing. He gets the dealers there. They do an awesome job. It is a massive, massive, massive value for us to do those one-day events. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious because I did a couple of one-day. We had some one-day events with a large organization, not confirming or denying that it was CEDIA, and there were like 3 people there. And then the second one that they had, they're like, "Hey, never mind, we're not going to do that one now." But I feel like they're realigning, they're refocusing because they've sold off the trade show to somebody in the trade show business, which is the 3rd largest business in the world. Religion being one. Second, never mind. Anyways, I look forward to them doing these events, and we dip our toe in the water, and basically it's kind of a 2 strikes you're out with these smaller events that we do because we spend a ton of money doing them and manning them. Right. But the value in it is that you go, and these are a lot of times you hope. These are the people that don't have the time, the effort, the money, and the staff to pick up and make the pilgrimage to San Diego to go to the regular show, or in this case in Europe, they're not going to go to ISE. So the idea is shooting fish in a barrel, and you just have to make sure that the fish show up and that the fish are hungry and chase the food, and that you have enough ammunition in your shotgun. So,
very good. Very good. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Steven, let's start with you. If people want to connect with you, where can they do that?
You can find me all over the country now. I am at ProAudio_GA on Twitter. You can find me at ProAudioGeorgia.com. You can find me at AVNation.tv as often as they'll have me, which is rare. You can see why. They give me my meds, and they tell me to be good for 30 minutes, and I manage to pull it off most of the time. But I'm pretty easy to locate. Reach out to me. I just picked up 2 more businesses in my mentoring program. If you're interested in learning our industry, learning how it operates, getting the inside path on a new business, please reach out to me. I always look forward to it.
Very good. Taff, thanks so much for joining us. If people want to connect with you or connect and find more about Just Add Power, how do they do that?
You can just visit our website, which is justaddpower.com. That's JUST ADD, like attention deficit disorder, power.com. And you can reach out directly to me at Taft, TAFT, at justaddpower.com. And do some cool trainings. Stephen, we got to drag you down. Come down. We put you in a hotel in the Intercoastal. You spend a day and a half having a little bit of fun. We'll let you stay for a couple extra days because there's, sunshine and, beach and everything else. And so the hotel's on the Intercoastal. You can throw a rock in it. Then you go across the parking lot and then you're on the beach. So just south of Clearwater, which works out great because I'm a Scientologist.
That's my favorite. Those are my wife's favorite beaches.
Yeah, which was a joke. I'm not really a Scientologist. But yeah, so we do it's like a 2-day training, and then you end up we take you out and feed you and put drinks into you and send you on your way and let you have a little bit of fun on the beach as well. So
Matt, what do you think? He's going to put drinks into me.
It's not hard to do.
I'm assuming that you drink. We're on video chat, so I can tell that I eat, that you eat. So that wasn't questionable. I just didn't know whether or not you drank.
Yep.
Oh, gosh. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. For myself, if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott and many other social platforms. But more importantly, please stop by AVNation.tv. You'll find this show as well as a wide variety of our other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our underwriters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek.